If someone constantly threatens to leave you or kick you out or break up with you or end the relationship unless you give them what they want, that's actually emotional abuse. It's not tough love. It's not communication. It's coercion. And once you've been through that kind of treatment a few times, your nervous system stops feeling safe around people you love. You start bracing yourself, even in calm moments, because the next outburst could mean that you're losing everything. That is not love. That is fear being used to get control. And here's the thing about emotionally abusive people. They don't always scream and insult. Sometimes they use polite words. Sometimes they act hurt, or they say they need to take care of themselves. But if what they're doing is designed to make you afraid of being left or rejected or blamed or shamed, and they do it over and over when they don't get their way, it's not just emotional immaturity. It's a pattern of control. And a lot of people who grew up with trauma don't recognize it until they're very deep in it. There are certain accusations that come up again and again in emotionally abusive relationships. You've probably heard them. You've probably said some of them yourself, especially if you were dysregulated. Now, that doesn't make you a bad person. It means there's something here to learn. But if someone you love or depend on uses these kinds of accusations constantly, especially in response to normal feelings or reasonable needs, it's time to pay attention. Things like, "You're too sensitive." This one is usually said to end a conversation. It's not trying to help you grow. It's not trying to understand you. It's meant to say, your pain is the problem, not what I just did. And if you grew up around emotional abuse, you may hear this and immediately assume they're right. You question yourself. You feel ashamed. You back down, and they get what they want. All right, here's another one. "You're crazy." That word gets used too easily, but when someone repeatedly questions your sanity, especially when you're trying to explain how something hurt you, this is not a conversation. This is gaslighting. And when you try to defend yourself against being called crazy, you already lose, because the more you protest, the more emotional you seem, and the more they say, "See, you're unstable," or they say, "You're the real abuser." Now, this one is especially common when you start setting boundaries, when you stop tolerating insults or stonewalling or chaos. The emotionally abusive person suddenly flips it around and says, "You are the one who is mean and controlling or dangerous." And it's a way to put you on the defensive and avoid taking responsibility for their own behavior. And it works if you're not aware of what's happening. Or they say, "You're manipulative." Now, yes, some people are manipulative, but this accusation is often thrown at people who are just trying to be heard. You say, "I feel hurt," and they say, "You're trying to make me feel guilty." Or you ask for clarity, and they say, "You're twisting my words." Now, I was in a relationship once where I would end up in tears, and they would accuse me of crying just to manipulate them. What can you even say when somebody's accusing you of that? You know, it's actually an emotion of overwhelm and grief and from getting bullied. And it's not actually just something to try to make them feel a certain way. But pretty soon you start thinking twice, before expressing anything real. That's what happens. You bottle it up and you walk on eggshells, and they stay in control. You just, your whole life becomes about avoiding trouble. Or they say, "You're selfish." And this is a favorite one in a certain kind of family where one person is used to dictating everything and getting everybody to do everything at their beck and call. So you say, "No," you move out and you stop doing what they want, and suddenly you are a very selfish person. But what they mean is, "You're not prioritizing me anymore." And people who are used to being in charge of your life will almost always call you selfish when you take your life back. Or they say, "You always make everything about you." And you might hear this when you start opening up. After years of staying quiet, you finally share what's going on inside you. And instead of being met with care, you're accused of being self-centered. Now, in reality, it's often their discomfort with your boundaries or your growth or your shift away from caretaking them. So they say this to shut you down. They go, Oh, you're just never satisfied. That's when you ask for something reasonable, like respect or honesty or time, and you're told you're just too demanding. You get told that nothing is ever good enough for you, is it? That you're the one who can't be pleased. It's a way to avoid giving you more or anything at all by blaming you for expecting anything. This keeps the bar low and it keeps you off balance, always wondering if you're asking too much just for wanting basic decency. Hey, I've got a quick invite for you. I made a free daily practice course that shows you 2 simple techniques to calm the storm when you're triggered inside. It's short, it's powerful, and it helps you feel clearer, more focused, and more at ease, fast. Click the second link in the description section below, or use the QR code right there, and you can start your course right away. Now, they say stuff like, you just want to be the victim, don't you? And this one is a last-ditch effort to discredit you. You finally say, hey, that hurt. And you start telling the truth. And instead of owning what they did, they accuse you of clinging to pain. But most people don't want to be victims. They want peace. They want love. They want to move forward in their lives. But emotional abusers want to silence anything that threatens their control. And calling you a victim is a quick way to make you feel ashamed of your own healing. I will say, I don't think all emotional abusers are totally conscious that they're playing these games. They're doing it, but they would never be able to admit this is their motive because they're actually just like reacting off of instinct. They're in some habit of communication that's familiar to them. Maybe it was done to them. Maybe it's just how they roll. And so they cannot see for the life of them that they're doing something wrong. This is what's hard. Oh, here's something they say. Everyone agrees with me. And this one is meant to isolate you, to make you doubt your perception. When someone says this, they almost never have real backup. It's a bluff. But when you're already feeling confused, it can work. You start thinking, maybe I am the crazy one. Maybe I'm the only one who sees it this way. But real relationships aren't about a majority vote, right? They're about mutual respect. And here's one that doesn't sound like an accusation, but it works the same way. And it's flattery. And it goes like this. You're the only one who understands me. Or you're so much stronger than the other women. It sounds like a compliment, but in emotionally abusive relationships, this kind of flattery often has strings attached. It sets up a power dynamic. It says, you're different, so you won't complain. You won't leave. You'll put up with it. And if you do finally say no, that praise turns into guilt trips. Finally, one of the most damaging forms of emotional abuse is this, threatening to abandon you. Like, well, maybe I should just leave, Maybe we should just not be together. If you don't change, I'm out. And if someone says this once in a while, that could be a sign of genuine conflict. It could be where they're coming from. But if they say it again and again, especially during normal disagreements, it's a threat. And it trains you to stop speaking up. It hijacks your nervous system, especially if you have abandonment wounds. And the people who are closest to us, they know where the buttons are. So if you've got that abandonment wound, it's easy to yank your chain. So you end up trading your right to speak up for an illusion of safety. But no relationship is safe when one person uses fear of abandonment to get their way. So what do you do if you recognize these patterns? You don't need to diagnose the other person. You don't need to get them to agree or make them go to therapy. What matters is what you're tolerating and why. Are you crap fitting just so you don't have to deal with your fear of endings? If you're new to my work here, crap fitting is a word we use for when we fit ourselves to something unacceptable, people or situations. We fit ourselves to crap fitting. So are you blaming yourself for someone else's cruelty just so the relationship can keep going? Are you trying to get that control over the situation by imagining this is happening because you did something wrong, and if you could just figure out what it is, you'll make the problem stop? That's a very trauma-driven behavior that I happen to know well. Are you trying to earn love by proving you're not what they say you are? The truth is, emotionally abusive accusations are not about you, they're about distraction. They're meant to make you question yourself so that you don't question them. But you can learn to see the pattern. You can learn to stay regulated You can learn to walk away when someone keeps punishing you for having feelings or opinions or needs. That's not selfish. That's healthy. You're not too sensitive. You're not crazy. And you're not the one causing the abuse just by trying to protect your dignity, by trying to keep your feet planted in reality. Hey, it's me, and real fast, if you're watching my videos and wondering if maybe past trauma is having an effect on your life today, I want to share with you a list of signs that what you're struggling with now might be connected with neglect or abuse in your childhood. It's good to know this because it can help you know that what's hard for you right now is normal and that healing is possible. You can download my Signs of Childhood PTSD quiz by clicking the top link in the description section below or using that QR code right there. You get to have standards. You get to expect kindness. And when someone can't handle that without flipping the blame on you, you don't have to explain yourself. If you stay in this kind of madness, it can grind you down until it's almost impossible to think or envision yourself in any kind of path beyond it. It shuts down your ability to see your options. And I know because I've been there. With friends, with support, with professional help, you can connect with something real so that you have strength and you have perspective, like, okay, you see what's happening, you see the path, someone gives you a hand, and you can stop engaging with people who show you over and over that they're not safe. They don't have your best interest at heart. That is by definition what a friend is. So speaking up, walking away, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. And if you've heard these accusations before, it's time to stop listening to the words and get in touch with that power inside you and break the pattern. Hey, if you liked that video, I've got one I know you're gonna love. It's right here, and I will see you over there. You didn't have a chance to make mistakes based on your own choices. It's very difficult to make a satisfying choice or decision, like nothing fits.